Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Gretchen with Healing from Within with Cancer. Today I'm going to talk about the journey that I took with the surgery and leading up to the surgery and all of the obstacles that one faced when not going the route of chemo and radiation. My surgeon had agreed that he would do the surgery without, my hair is going crazy again. It always is going crazy. I just noticed that. But anyway, uh, my surgeon had indicated that he had to write a report and he had to go in front of a committee because I was refusing chemo and radiation. I'm not 100% sure why a committee has to decide that in the medical industry, whether this is good or bad, and if they're going to do the surgery. That just doesn't sound even, something that you should be doing. But I said, okay, if that's what you've got to do, you have to follow, hospital procedures, feel free. And then he had to present this document to me, and I had to sign off on it, indicating that I had agreed to it. So, the staff knew that I was coming into the hospital to have the surgery and refusing, as they had capitalized that and quoted that multiple times within this document, which I chuckled at, and I thought, okay, what is this all about? Because oncology isn't going to make money. The hospital's not going to make money off of me because I'm refusing this chemo and radiation. Because if you do any research, you will find out that hospitals get huge kickbacks from big pharma when it comes to these type of I guess treatments, that you want to call it, and I was refusing it. So that meant everybody involved was not going to get paid for this, for this stint of the surgery slash taking care of me afterward. So I was in agreement with it 100%. And I chuckled leaving the hospital with my 3-page document, that the report that was presented to the board. And I thought, wow, is this really what goes on behind the scenes that most people don't even realize that's happening? Because they're just herded like cattle. Okay, we're going to do the surgery, we're going to do the chemo, we're going to do the radiation, and you just kind of follow along, right? Well, I went against the grain, and that wasn't something that they were used to doing, and so they had to make a big stink out of this. And why? I don't know. It obviously has everything to do with money, that they weren't getting paid. Because why does it bother you what I'm choosing to do with my body? And why do you have to write a letter, a 3-page letter at that, emphasizing refused chemo and radiation? I'm just not getting that, because when I asked for the statistics, when I initially sat down with my second choice, which ended up becoming my surgeon for the removal of the tumor, I said to him, what are my chances of surviving if I were to go the route that you went? And he sat back and he says, well, 5 years. 5 years? Oh my gosh, okay, I'm like 53. That means that I have a life expectancy of 58. I can't accept that. Those aren't good numbers. 5 years. That's my life expectancy after doing chemo and radiation. But that's supposed to kill the cancer, right? So the cancer's not going to grow back, and that I'm going to be 100% for 5 years. And then something else is going to happen and I'm just going to die. And they're going to say, sayonara, we got 5 years of lots of money out of you, and all these crazy medical treatments, because now other body parts are failing because the chemo and radiation went into other major organs of my body and plagued them while it was killing the cancer. I don't think so. So I found that very hard to understand and to comprehend and to process. But I took away from it learning lesson. Once again, these are things that nobody knows about and that you go up against. And if you're not going with the grain and you're going against the grain, you're going to go against a lot of things that are not going to be in your favor when it comes to what they consider normal medical treatment. So I did, have the surgery, the day of the surgery. And it was funny because there were multiple nurses that asked me, "You're just doing the surgery and no chemo or radiation. Are you sure about that?" And I said, "Absolutely, 100%. Why?" And they said, "Oh, well, we just don't have many patients that come through here that go down that road." Okay. Well, now you know another one that maybe are in your given few that have gone against the grain. And maybe if more people researched and understood what goes into chemo and radiation and what the outcome is, maybe they would think differently. But, the modern medicine that we have today just does not want to enlighten us on anything but the fact that it's their way or the highway. It's sad, but it's true. Anyway, yeah, that just took me back to a whole different place. Moving on, it was very difficult to have these people understand where I was coming from when it came to how I wanted to heal myself. And I started realizing as I was laying there waiting to be taken down to surgery that it's a shame that they don't teach people in medical school a little bit more about nutrition and alternative ways with supplements to eating healthy, to feeding the body the things that it really needs. And another video I can get into with, what their medical journals, who they're from, who they're from. You'd be amazed if you don't know who literally funds all of this stuff. Then you'll understand. But so I did the surgery. Getting back to that, I did the surgery. I had no idea that my surgeon was going to speak to my son after the surgery. And what I neglected to tell my children was it was a very risky surgery that I was going to go through. I told him I was going through surgery. I just didn't give details. Well, my surgeon ended up speaking to my son after the surgery and pretty much so scaring him and saying, your mom's a trooper, she wanted it done her way, but this is the second riskiest surgery that I do. And my son was, I guess, needless to say, he wasn't happy with me because I didn't disclose that beforehand. Both my son and daughter were there the day of the surgery. My daughter was only 8 at the time, and she really only knew that mom was having a lot of stomach issues and that I was going in to have them fixed. That's what I gave her the explanation of. I didn't want her to know that I had cancer. I didn't discuss it with her because I didn't think that she was old enough to understand all of the ins and outs of it. And she had already heard cancer so many times, and all she could equate that to was death, because everybody that she knew that had cancer had died. And I didn't want her to think, "Oh, mom's going to die." So that just was not something that I was willing to talk to her about. And didn't feel that it was necessary to worry her over something that I didn't even know. I have no idea, where I'm going on this journey or what's going on. My brain was positive that I was going to overcome this and beat this, but I don't want to give somebody false hope either. and tell her one thing and then something else happens. So that's the way that I dealt with my daughter. My son was in his 20s, is in his 20s still, and he was able to handle, the explanation of what was happening. And I have two other sons. I have three sons total, and everybody knew, what was going on. I just didn't get into detail with them about the surgery. I just said, I'm having surgery. I'm removing this tumor. It's a long procedure, and that was pretty much so how I left it. So I was still in recovery when all of this was transpiring with my son, and needless to say, when I came to out of recovery, he, made in no uncertain terms, Mom, why didn't you tell me? And I said, because I didn't want to worry anybody. But I'm here, I'm alive, everything's great, even though I feel like I've been hit by a truck. And I don't know what the next step is, but all I can tell you is I'm in a lot of pain and my mouth is incredibly dry and I feel like I just ate sand and I want somebody to give me some pain meds, like now. So I did end up getting the nurse, and they weren't coming quick enough. So my son went on the hunt for one, and they finally brought me some pain meds. And within I can't remember if I was taking a pill or if they injected me with something. You're so out of it after surgery. I don't recall, but it did calm me down and help me. And then I could explain things a lot better, what was transpiring. And in that time frame, my surgeon had come in and explained, what transpired. He said that, the surgery was very successful, from what he could see. Time would tell with the healing of, how everything was going to come back together again, because, there he took 6 inches out of me along with 22 lymph nodes. And believe it or not, because we have a lymphatic drainage, right? That some people know, some people don't. But our lymph nodes are very, very important because that's what helps get things going out of our body. And when you remove those, well, where is it going? The body has a hard time, just getting rid of stuff. So I was I was more concerned about the lymph nodes that he took out. I'm like, 22? What are you talking about? I need those. And he said, well, they kind of looked, suspicious. So I wanted to remove anything that looked suspicious that was around the tumor, which I'm very, very thankful. Don't get me wrong. I'm very thankful because I really didn't want anything left inside of me that was potentially dangerous for my recovery and for my well being later on down the road. So I had to make fun of it. I did find humor in a lot of the things that went on with me. And I think that's what helped me through this, where, I mean, it's such a doom and gloom, process with anybody, with any type of cancer, with any major surgery. I mean, people that have open heart surgery or, they're scared. They don't know what to do. I mean, life is going to change, right? Everything is going to change around them. They're not even going to be able to do the things that they used to do. That's a lot of our mindset because we go there, right? We all do. But I chose to find humor and laughter and, had my friends sending me jokes, butt jokes, anything to do with, what I was dealing with. And it helped. It really, truly did. I can say that staying positive is not easy to do. I did a lot of meditation and praying and just staying laser focused on you've got this. You're doing everything in your power to get your body in the right place, health wise, when it came to food and nutrition, to the supplements, to the positive mind thinking. Don't go down those deep dark roads that everybody chooses to go down. And I'm doom and gloom. I'm gonna die. This is gonna happen to me. I don't know if I'm gonna survive this. I didn't allow myself to do that. And I can tell you that that is part of why I'm here today. I know it with all my heart and soul that without my positive mindset and my laser focus on healing, this would never have happened to me if I didn't stay focused. And as I had said in a couple of my other previous videos, that I really didn't have a lot of resources to go off of. And lo and behold, I found a ton after my surgery. And I guess it was just meant to be, that, I was led to the right direction, but then there was going to be more to follow after this to stay on the right road. But I didn't realize how extensive the surgery was and how painful it was going to be and what a long recovery it was going to be, because I had had surgeries before and I've had C-sections, and I've bounced back from them. But this one I knew was going to take me out, just from me waking up and feeling like a truck rolled over me and backed up again and rolled over me again, because my body was just a complete disaster. So I chose to take it slow. I said, all right, you know what? You're not in Wonder Woman. There's no race here. You just need to heal. And that probably was something that was very difficult for me, because I'm a very active person, but I had to slow everything down. I had to slow down the brain. I had to slow down the thought process. I had to slow down my breathing, so I wasn't getting anxious about all of this. And I would say that that's very difficult, but I knew that I needed to do that. So it was a lot easier for me to remain calm throughout this healing process, especially in the hospital, because I'm not a hospital person. I'm not a good patient. I'm inpatient. I don't like people waking me up every 2 hours to take my vitals. I don't like a slew of doctors coming in and looking at, every orifice of my body and saying, oh, yeah, that looks fabulous. The dignity, your vanity, everything goes out the window when it comes to a surgery such as this. And being that you have an audience, because you have a ton of interns, and I realize they all have to learn, but maybe not on me, but they were there and they were, all like, ooh, okay, what's going on over here? And, you're kind of just showing all of this stuff. I didn't know that I had tubes inside of me that were hanging off with these little bags, for whatever it was that was coming out of me to drain into, along with, just everything else. Now, I did indicate that there was not going to be a colostomy bag. So there was no bag for that, but there was bags for everything else. And I didn't know what that was all about, because nobody told me that that was going to be happening. So I have all these little incisions all over the place, and everything's hurting. And I was like, wow, nobody explained this stuff to me. I think that these were small details that were left out that probably should have been told to me. I mean, I heard that they're going to make little incisions, but, all over. I mean, my stomach looked like a road map, because they did it robotically, which I kind of understand. But then again, I don't. I found out about this procedure a lot more later on down the road. It wasn't something, like I said, sometimes it's better off not knowing, going into it, and then finding out after the fact, and then saying, oh, okay, now I understand. I was more concerned about the nutrition and getting my body healthy again, than to know about, that they're literally blowing my organs up with air, and they're kind of like coming out of the body to work on and then put back into the body. No wonder why I was traumatized and I felt like a truck hit me. But anyway, it was definitely something that I was trying to find humor in, and trying to laugh about stuff. And I'm just looking like a train wreck. And now I have people coming to visit me, and I'm thinking, I don't want anybody seeing me. I'm looking terrible. And I wanted to get up. I wanted to walk around. But then I finally just threw everything to the wind and said, you know what? I'm thankful that they're here to support me, and that they're here to make me laugh. And it's kind of take my sights off of, the doom and gloom of the pain, and, how long of a recovery it's going to be. Because when you're alone with your thoughts, you're your own worst enemy. And so, if I can give anybody any piece of advice, try to surround yourself with good people, because and that they're not going to talk so much about, the negativity, but anything that's positive, anything that's funny, let them make you laugh. Let them take you to a different place, because it does help with the healing process throughout this journey that you're on. And don't be too alone with your thoughts, because that's never a good thing. So even though I looked terrible and I was a train wreck, and everybody's looking at every incision that I've got going on, and some of the doctors I couldn't even understand, but I'm once again joking as I'm being examined. How's it looking down there? And so, you have to. You just don't take it so seriously, because it really truly does help with the healing process. And laughing is such a great thing. But it definitely was a journey of, ups and downs with my emotions, and a lot of pain. And I didn't really want to take on a lot of pain meds. So that was another thing that I was fighting against, because I said, okay, enough of whatever you're giving me. I think it was after the first or second day of my surgery. I said enough of that, because that's, just polluting my body that much more, and it's not going to allow it to function the way that it needs to. So let's just get on a regimen of, minor, some Tylenol or some ibuprofen to help me out here, because I'm just going to deal with this. And I did. They didn't like it, the way that I was approaching it. But once again, I'm, trying to heal this body, and pumping it with all these meds, for painkillers is not healthy. So unfortunately, the menu of what they were serving me was basically nothing but carbs. So I was worried about these carbs turning into sugars, because that's what they do. And here, my body's vulnerable at this point, and is it going to recover the way that it needs to, because they wanted to keep everything moving inside of me, which I get. I totally get. They didn't want high fiber or anything like that. So, it was the jellos and the mashed potatoes and, white rice, and, very bland stuff, but a lot of carbs. And I was having a hard time wrapping my head around that one. But I said, okay, inside has to heal. And if this is the way they know how it heals, I have to trust their expertise on that. I'm not in that avenue of understanding what's going on now that you've, taken 6 inches out of me, and now you've reattached me, and it all has to start working again. So I did do, their bland diet for a couple weeks, and I was released out of the hospital after 5 days. I was in no way, shape, or form ready to get back into the swing of things, with getting back to work, and that was a whole nother toxic environment that I was dealing with during this time. I was in this division, I was the only salesperson, and doing the business development end of it. So they were calling me, okay, when are you going to get your release, from the hospital, and when are you going to be back to work? And never, hey, how'd the surgery go? I hope everything is great. It was always work, 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 work. And unfortunately, I allowed that to become part of my recovery, which was not a good thing, because I was working. Even though I was released from the hospital, I was still working, remotely while I was recovering, which I don't suggest ever doing that. That is not something that, we're supposed to be on medical leave for a reason, and that's what you need to do, is take that time to let the body heal. And I was, on the phone, and I was on my computer, and I was working away. And I had a couple friends that had come over to visit me at my house when I got home. and they were yelling at me because I was working, and they were 100% correct. I was doing the wrong thing. So take some time, really. You know what? Because I know now, because I'm no longer with that company, that, if anything were to have happened to me, that my job would have been posted the very next day and they wouldn't have cared. So, sometimes that dedication isn't always, paying off, especially for companies that really don't even value their employees, which this one did not. And I knew that. I knew that. They thought that they were doing me a favor by not, making me go through the procedures of, true medical leave. There's a thing called FMLA. And they thought, well, we'll just pay her and we won't process any of that, and we'll make it better. So I kind of felt like I was obligated, that I had to work while they were, paying me on my medical leave. But long story short was, it was all about them, not me. And they could have cared less about my health. As long as I was generating revenue, that's all that mattered. Don't do that. Don't. It's not worth it. It's a very sad situation that you get caught up in whatever it is, and they really don't care. They just want the money. Because I didn't even get flowers from them or a card or anything else. Hey, we can't wait until you come back to work. Nothing. Zero. And my dedication was pretty strong with this company, so that really was a mind blower to me. That here I'm taking this major medical leave of absence, to have this cancer removed, and I don't even get a card. And the first phone call that was made to me was, "Hey, when you coming back to work? We got a lot of things to discuss." No. So that I'm going to tell you, don't do. Just don't. It's not good for the mindset to heal. It's not good for the psyche, because now you become anxiety stricken. All of these things that start going on in your brain, you don't need that while you're healing. You need to remove all of that stuff out of your body, or out of your mind, should I say, to heal the body. And so, yes, I unfortunately had that experience while I was home healing. And then it was a lot of pressure on me to get things done while I was home trying to heal, which was not good either. And then we move on to my diet. I started reintroducing things that I loved, and realized that I could no longer eat for that, well, at that particular time, because the body just was not processing them the right way, and I became violently ill. And I knew that that could have been part of, things that were going to be different about this whole procedure. My body was not going to function the same way that it once upon a time did. Disappointed is an understatement, because, I love eggplant, and unfortunately I realized that that was probably the most toxic thing that I could be eating at that time. And I was so sick and I was so disappointed, but understood that, I have to give the body time to heal. And I can eat little portions of it, which are good. I have to take it in small portions and in moderation, to eat, some of my favorite foods. But it was a long process before I could do that. So the home life was definitely interesting for 8 weeks while I was recovering and working, and reintroducing supplements into my body again slowly, so I could heal. But I could feel the difference. I could feel my body literally every single day. I was one step closer to that goalpost of where I wanted to hit. And in my next video, I talk about the follow-ups with, my 3-month follow-ups, and how things were turning out, and what my doctor's reaction was to this road that I decided to take that he just didn't believe in. And even though he did the surgery, he still was like in awe over how I went about taking care of my body. And we'll talk about the supplements that I was taking and the routines of, my nutrition, portions that I was doing, because I learned that I had to limit certain things in my diet and reintroducing new things to everything. So I'll talk about that in the next video. And hopefully this has enlightened you and keeps you positive and knowing that you're not alone in this journey and that we all go through our trials and tribulations. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me in the comments section or email me. I'm more than happy to answer anything about what has gone on in my life, with all of these videos that I've shared with you so far, and where I'm taking you on this journey with me throughout this process, and how you can learn that there are so many more things that you have available to you, that you don't always have to go down the road that everybody else goes down. Sometimes we just have to veer off into that other direction because we know that it's going to be a better outcome for us. And I know that you were obviously drawn to my video for some reason or another, and hopefully I'm giving you some answers to questions that you have as well. That, what, somebody else did it. If they can do it, and they've lived it, and the experiences that they've had, I can do this too. And I am your biggest cheerleader to tell you that I totally am there for you 101%, to take things into your own hands and make your own decisions, because there are choices that you can make. Until next time, have a great day.